this is the weekly meeting of the Trusted Referral Network. We meet once a week. We alternate between Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Jason just ran out to eat breakfast because he's in Los Angeles. And then 5 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. And set those times because if somebody has a standing meeting and can't make it at a particular time, I wanted to give everybody a chance to make the other meeting potentially. And also so that the West Coast can join. It's not too early or too late. And as you know, we're a network of independent marketing, sales, and advertising professionals who believe in the power of peer networking. So a lot of us, most of us are specialists in one way or another, either functionally or by industry or both. And we have that website, trustref.net, which is a resource for everybody, all members in the group, and of course for people who are not members to find resources. I haven't really positioned it as an external resource, but at some point down the road, it would be nice if I could actually get the time and resources to do some search engine optimization or whatever to drive traffic to that site. But right now it's really a site for people to connect with each other, and it's in the process of being upgraded. So in addition to the meetings and the website, we have a Slack channel, a YouTube channel where I post all of these recordings, and we have a meeting machine where it matches people one-on-one on a weekly basis. And that is actually a system that was developed by a member in the group, Kevin McCarthy. And, we're always looking for more ways to connect, refer business to each other. At this point, it's sort of informal. Don't have a great method for tracking referrals or tracking attendance, but as I develop the website, hopefully I'll have more capability there. And ultimately, what we hope to do is build out local chapters or industry-specific chapters so that people can create their own sort of microcosm of the group while still being part of the larger national umbrella. So what we'll do is we give a showcase presenter about 15 minutes. So Howard Levy of Red Rooster Group has volunteered to take the lead on that. And usually it's 15 minutes. People usually give about 10 minutes of presentation and then leave 5 at the end for a Q&A. But Howard, we've got a relatively small group. You could do it however you want. If people have questions and want to post them or add them to the chat, that's one way to do it without interrupting. But Howard, I'll let you decide exactly how you want to handle it. And I will give you the ability to share your screen if that's something you want to do.
I do, thanks, yeah. And feel free to interrupt and ask questions. It's a small group, so we can talk. If I could take a liberty to give a thanks to someone, and I know you don't usually do this, but I reached out to Jason as a result of this group. I had a technical need with a client. He stepped up and pulled out all the stops to get something done in a tight time frame and various technical components of it. The client was a total mess. It turned into a total, first they wanted to get stuff done, then they didn't want to release passwords for their HubSpot account. They had a website and other things, but he, that has nothing to do with him, but he, even when he went to vacation, he made sure that he had his team and his partner, his coders. He referred us to other consultants, does HubSpot. So thanks for turning on a dime and putting all out to help. Speaks well of how you work. The group should know that.
Thank you for acknowledging that. And thank you, Jason, for being part of the group. For both of you, happen clearly.
Appreciate it.
All right, so I want to talk to you about a behavioral principle that can be applied in marketing called priming. And you can kind of think of priming like a persuasion that subtly influences someone's behavior. So there's lots of things you could do to kind of get people to think in a certain way before you actually ask them to act. Let's see if my camera, I'm in the sun, so getting a lot of light on me. So you could use, priming to use words and language to get people to think in a certain way, even without them knowing that that you're doing that. And this could influence their behavior. So to take steps on marketing and sales and so forth. So I'll show you a couple of examples. Share the screen here.
I like the word persuasion.
Yeah, that's not mine. That's Robert Cialdini's. He wrote a book called Presuasion, and then and Persuasion back in the 70s, and then Presuasion. And so he's written a ton on this. And there's just so much literature now, on this, and it intersects the fields of marketing and psychology and neuroscience, which is the study of the brain. So they put people under fMRI machines, and they can ask them questions and then see how the brain reacts. So we're learning a lot about how the brain, responds, what areas of the brain are activated under certain circumstances. And so marketers have a real good idea of how to influence people. Here's an interesting example. When asked to provide your email address, and we'll give you a free sample of a brand new soda, that sounds like pretty good. There's a little bit of a trade-off there. And as you might imagine, some people willing to do it, some people not. 30%, provided their email address in order to get the free sample. How could you subtly influence this in order to lift that response rate? Well, if you ask, do you consider yourself an adventurous person who likes to try new things? You're opening up someone's mind in a way that they hadn't before. So maybe before they're thinking about, the security of their email. I don't want to give up my privacy. But now you're asking them to think about the offer in a totally different way. You're asking them to consider something fundamental about themselves. You're asking them to acknowledge a part of their identity that they hadn't considered before. And in this case, the response rate here went up to 55%. So these kinds of priming can help to influence the response. These examples a little older, back in the day when people actually were in restaurants making reservations. Often, a common refrain was, please call if you have to cancel. And, do you feel an obligation to call, the restaurant or not? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. If you're a good person, you feel like you would, but there's no implicit commitment, in this declarative statement. Please call, or request, I should say. But when you change the language subtly to, will you please call if you have to cancel, and someone says yes to that, they're making a commitment now, both to the restaurant, another person who they've actually just said that they would call, and they're making a commitment to themselves. So if they do not call, then they're breaking a commitment. They lied. They just lied, to say that they would call, versus the other one, which was left open-ended. So this kind of priming is asking a question that goes to making a commitment and asking someone to say something about themselves that would provide cognitive dissonance if they reacted in a negative way too. So this is one way that you could get someone to increase responses, by subtly, influencing them through a question that gets them to make a commitment of some sort. This is kind of interesting too, even just using language. So they did an experiment where they had people come into an office, and this guy behind the desk is the experimenter, and after they would have a little conversation, and then after, right when it was over, he would drop his pen off the edge of the desk. And when the conversation was sprinkled with the words that related to helpfulness, the subjects in the experiment were much more likely to pick up the pen than if it wasn't. And Dan Ariely and others have done these kinds of experiments and in different ways. So they've even used words like that relate to aging, and they've timed people walking out of the office and getting down a hallway, I don't know, 50-foot hallway, and they have found that when the conversation was peppered, with words that just even related to aging or being old, people end up walking down the hallway more slowly on average when they didn't. So this to me, this is so fascinating just by using these kind of cues. No one's really aware of that, but you're putting someone in a particular frame of mind. And as another kind of example, just of language, there was another experiment done with kids in, I don't know if it was a preschool or first kindergarten or first, it was like a kindergarten or preschool, that used the word helping and helpers. And so they wanted to get the kids to clean up the room. And so in one case, they used words that related to the verb, who's going to be helping us to clean up the room. In another case, they used the noun, who is a helper. And in the latter case, when they use the noun as an identifier for someone, are you a helper? Will you be a helper? That increased the response rate, because you're giving someone now an identity that goes to the core of who they are, rather than helping, which is an action. Well, maybe today I'll help out and tomorrow I won't. But if you're a helper, you're someone who does that on a regular basis. You're stating something about them. So this is pretty powerful ways when you're talking, in my world, working with nonprofits, when you say, well, as a donor versus, will you help make a donation? So when you're tagging someone as a donor, as a supporter, as an advocate, and so forth. So, in the business world, you could do the same thing, as well. You do that, as members of clubs or loyalty programs or things like that. When you designate people as a charter member or so forth, you're giving them an identity rather than just describing an action that they've taken. And that helps to influence their behavior. In this case, to check my note on this one, the potential voters were asked to make a prediction about whether they would vote or not and to give the reason. Yielded a turnout rate that was 25% higher than those who weren't asked, because people want to act in a way that's consistent with their public beliefs and statements about themselves. So again, it goes to this idea of making, a commitment. So if you ask someone, are you planning on buying something? You're putting them in a position of making some type of commitment. And how are we with time? A couple more minutes. And feel free to ask.
You have 6-7 minutes left.
Yeah, feel free to ask questions. I think there's a couple more examples here. So this one was a child welfare organization was sending out donation letters. They were getting an average donation of $20. They increased their response rate when they asked people, list 3 people they know or are known by, or one case they said, are you are loved, that you love or are loved by. So just on the donation card, they're just activating the part of their brain that's getting them to acknowledge this idea of love. So as opposed to just being moved by the copy in the letter, they're now activating a part of the brain that goes directly to their personal sense of love, not for someone else, but someone who they love. And that helped to increase the response rate up to $4. This is a decent amount off of an average $20 donation. And then there's a couple of visual examples. So we've been talking a lot about language, but it could also be visual. So in this case, the theme for this medical research charity was, how long will we have to wait for a cure? They used this small envelope, and then they tested this longer envelope. These happen to be in Germany. And they were able to increase the response rate by 40%. So there's a visual cue here about the idea of waiting a long time. And then these are in TV commercials the Shriners Hospital did. There's a subtle cue in here that you probably won't, you may or may not notice, because you're concentrated on the voiceover and you're looking at the boy and getting emotionally warmed by the story, hopefully. But in this picture is a blanket here, And at the end of the commercial, they say, with your donation of whatever it is, $50 or so, you'll get, we'll send you a blanket. So they've already primed you by having the blanket in the scene. The firm that does this does a lot of neuromarketing, where they actually have the 7 different types of sensors on people, and they're monitoring reactions as they're watching commercials. So it's really fascinating, the kinds of influence they could have. They also put numbers subtly in the background. So if they want people to donate $50, in the background on a chalkboard, for example, or a board, they'll put the number 50, or they'll put a higher number there to kind of influence them. So numbers are interesting priming examples. I think there's one last one. Oh, here it is with the blanket. So in the final scene, they're showing you, call now, you'll get the blanket while supplies last. So those are some examples of priming using language, using visuals, and hopefully I've given you something to think about.
Yeah. Also, it's the while supplies last is another one of Cialdini's influencing factors, right? It's scarcity.
Exactly.
Probably something that should have been done with COVID vaccines.
Yeah. Maybe.
But Howard, don't you have a proprietary methodology that you use?
I do. So I love this. I love behavioral principles. There's hundreds of these behavioral principles. This priming is one example. We've to help make these things practical, I've taken 15 of them and kind of packaged them in a way that I think makes sense. And so we have 6 steps. If we were working with a client, so understanding your audience, and there's certain principles that relate to how you create an emotional connection with your audience. Telling your story, step number 2. And there's principles that relate to telling your story. Crafting your offer, for example, what are ways like scarcity, for example, would be one way. And 3 other areas, how you deliver your message and reinforcing a relationship and so forth. And so we package these principles, organize them in a way that makes sense, and in crafting any type of marketing communication, then looking at it through that lens, what principles can we apply in each stage, so that we can end up with highly effective communications.
I mean, when I spoke to Howard one-on-one, I thought that was so extraordinary, and I turned him on to one of my non-for-profit clients, because they need that in order to get the numbers up. Instead of somebody, donating 100, they can donate 200. So I think that that's such an amazing principle that he works with. I think you should really focus on that a heck of a lot more than he does. He's so shy, he's so quiet about it. But that's such an amazing thing that he can do to really bring behavioral psychology to the equation. And how do you open your wallet? That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so that deck, that I'm showing you, we have all those 15, principles in there, each with multiple examples. I turned that into a card deck, the printed deck of cards that you could leave, again, using behavioral principle of, you want it when you're ready. So it's for fundraisers. It's called Fundraising Action Pack, has the principles organized in that way. So when you're ready to write an appeal, you could flip through the cards, and see, hey, what do I know about my audience? How do I craft my message? How do I craft my, my offer and the dollar levels and things like that, and start to, get familiar with the principles, apply them, use them in certain circumstances, some for events, some for, for major donors, for, and so forth. So I don't know, we may be unique in doing this, and people using behavioral principles, but I don't know of anyone who's actually created an organized system and methodology for applying them to businesses. Having said that, Rachelle, the reason I'm a little reticent is, like, it's hard. We do different things for clients and haven't really used that fully. So I'm a little reticent to say, like, that it works in totality. All these different things work.
Well, it works in totality. It works.
Well, and certainly you see it in direct response. Of course, the TV things, the Ginsu knife and all those things, where they pile on one persuasion after another, because they see the numbers directly and they know how well it works.
Look, we got to, we're as branding experts too, that we want to manage the reputation of the client, and in working in the nonprofit sector, there's also a great understanding of respect for, for clients, and not being patronizing, or, using people just as tokens to raise money and things like that. So there's a backlash against that, not,
Right.
We have one client, California, it's a group that works with homeless. They have 25 shelter, really nice facilities around the Bay Area. They don't show anyone in a negative situation. I'm like, but that's our story. People are homeless. We're helping them to not be homeless. So like, they only want to show the after. Like, we would never show someone in the worst situation of their life. It's a temporary thing. It's undignified and all that. So there's a shift in the sector about how people are portrayed. It's moving away from that 1970s starving kid in Africa, more to positive, uplifting, empowering messages. So you got to use these principles in the right way and balance it out.
You could still use those principles regardless of which side of the coin you're on. Doesn't
You
matter.
could, yeah. Oh, they're definitely.
It could be the
So-
positive side or the negative, but the positive side, you could still use those principles.
Thank you so much, Howard, for stepping in and stepping up. Do you want to just give a pitch of what you do? I mean, this was more about a topic. I think some of it came out that you work with not-for-profits, and that you do provide a broad range of marketing services. But do you want to? We all have 3 minutes or so.
10 seconds is, it's a Red Rooster Group. Our slogan is "Wake Up Your Brand." We work with nonprofits. We like to, I've been working with the nonprofits for 30 years, so we like to think that we know a lot about them in most categories. So largely social services, but I've worked with, business associations, medical professional associations, and healthcare, military, etc. But we do three things: brand strategy, really transforming an organization from one state to another when they're really in trouble, they're in a status quo, their name isn't working anymore, their visual identity is disconnected, their chapters are all over the place, their message is not flowing, their website's a mess. They want to introduce their services. There's a number of different situations that we enter the picture, and we provide comprehensive brand strategy to help get them back on track, figure out what their mission and vision is, create a new name, a cohesive visual identity, and connect all the message points together. Number two is marketing. So when they need to attract new participants to programs, galvanize people to action, new services. So digital campaigns that galvanize people into action. And number three is fundraising. So helping raise money through various campaigns, annual campaigns, new donor acquisitions, digital strategy, now a lot of virtual events, and so forth. So those are three core areas: branding, marketing, and fundraising. And getting results. So, we're known for deep understanding of nonprofits and applying behavioral principles and getting results.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to put in the chat the order in which people showed up today, and we might as well do the introductions in that order. So I'll set it to 3 minutes. We've got plenty of time. Actually, no, we'll make it, we have a half hour left. Let's make it 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I actually have to get on a call at noon, so I'm gonna have to cut off a little early. Is it Valeria or Valeria?
Yeah, Valeria.
Valeria, okay.
I'm first.
Absolutely, you are first. I'm gonna put the mode in before, let's see, presentation mode, so that you are the speaker and you get full screen. If everybody else would go on mute, that would be great. Go for it, Valeria. Valeria.
Thank you. So yeah. So yeah, my name is Valeria. I am currently working in a company called Fulato Leads. We do top of funnel lead generation using LinkedIn and email. We are able to send over 20,000 emails a month. So that just increases the chances of getting a response. And this is pretty much a repeatable and scalable automation solution to make your sales cycle a lot easier, a lot shorter. So in my own experience, it's been working pretty well. We've been able to get at least 5 meetings a week, And for our customers, it's the same thing. It really does depend a lot on the type of company, but the companies that we're working with, everything's been going pretty well. So that's pretty much what we do. That was a little less than the 2 minutes.
Yeah, what type of companies do you typically work with?
Well, right now we're working more with like marketing companies. What other companies are we? Oh, computer software, computer networking. Those are like the main companies that we've been working with at the moment.
And who is a good lead within those companies?
I don't have the name of the list right now.
No, but type of role. Is it the head of the company? It's
Oh yeah. So it's usually CEOs, head founders. Those are the people, the type of people that we work with usually.
and it's mostly small companies right now.
Yeah, that's correct. We're going little by little. Yeah.
So Michael Fulato is for those who don't know him, is the member,
right.
and you could find him under Fulato, Falato, as it says in the background there.
Right here.
Yeah, there's probably a few different ways to spell Fulato if you don't know the name.
That's
Cool.
right.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay, who's up next? That would be Rachelle, then Sarita, then Larry. Rachelle, you're up.
Hi there. I find that companies having a horrendous time on speaking about their services in a compelling way. They normally try to put a size 10 foot of information in a size 6 shoe, and they lose their audience. And I always say, when you talk about your business, are you storytelling or boring telling? Did you just tell me a story that I can recognize your high level expertise in thinking? Or did you just speak common jargon, ordinary, and lump yourself in with everybody else in your industry? So my goal is to make people speak, to have clarity, and to go from really being, to go from unclear to unforgettable. So my name is Rachelle. My company is Dynamic Business Growth. And I always say it's dynamic business growth, and it's not schlep along business growth. And what I really see, and Howard kind of backed me up a little on this today, the quality of a company is really in direct correlation to the quality of your language. What are you saying and how do you say it so that you look like the clear and only choice? How's that?
Right.
Now, I do want to pull one other thing. I do have a program coming up next month. I will be doing a 6-week program on how each person can develop what I call their ultimate power pitch, and how they can talk about their business. So if you have any interest, or if you have any interest, please reach out to me and see if you could be a good fit for this. And I thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was highlighted in the newsletter.
Thank you for that.
For the past couple of weeks. I don't know if it generated any direct hits, but I think you had a couple of people in the last call who said they would be interested.
Yeah, I did, and I thank you for that.
Absolutely. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that you are offering it at a discount to our members.
Yep. So we should
Wonderful.
talk one-on-one.
Wonderful. Okay.
As I said, I'm looking for elite players, not schlepperoos.
Not schlepperoos, lead players.
No schlepperoos, elite players only.
Sarita, Larry, then Ken. Sarita, you're up.
Okay, well, within the last year, we have faced a lot of uncertainty, particularly when it comes to the global economy. But did you know that those companies, even among small, mid-sized firms, those companies that had expanded to the global market, in other words, selling their product or services to an overseas market, actually continue to perform better in terms of increasing revenue, their productivity, and hiring than those companies that just remain focused on selling to the domestic market. I'm Sarita Jackson with the Global Research Institute of International Trade, where I work with companies to expand to the global market, increase their revenue, increase their profits to the global market by helping to conduct customized market research, developing a strategy so that they can compete globally, and connecting them with the right trusted advisors so that they can perform well in the global market. In terms of the types of companies that I work with, they're mainly small, mid-sized companies. A great lead for me is a company that either they're looking to expand or already in the global market and they're trying to adjust their strategy to compete under current conditions. I work mainly with companies in the food manufacturing industry. That's where most of my clients are from, but it doesn't necessarily have to be just in the food manufacturing industry. I've worked with engineering companies because I have a framework that I use to help these companies to expand to the overseas market. And just a quick plug, I am doing an organizational review and analysis. So as a part of the research, it's looking at the right market for a product or service, but also doing a deep dive internally to see, is your organization really ready? Do you have the resources or capabilities to compete globally? So I am offering a complimentary assessment to companies. So please reach out to me for the eligibility requirements and to learn more.
Thank you very much. That sounds exciting. And most, you said, so it's both services and products, right? So
Yes.
You said engineering services and also obviously food products and mostly export.
Yeah, so exporting to the US or exporting from another country to the US or from the US. So I work with US companies as well as companies based in other countries.
Okay.
And I have published recently, a book came out about how to export a service. So that's something else that I've done to kind of bring that to the forefront, because most people think about goods, products, and forget about services, even though it's a major component of international trade.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, Larry, you're up. It'll be Larry, Ken, and Rajiv.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Larry Rosenthal, and I'm the owner of Rosenthal IP Law. That IP stands for intellectual property. I protect your brands and products through the magic of trademarks and patents. And I opened my firm just over a year ago, and doing a lot of networking, trying to work with small and medium-sized businesses. That's really my sweet spot, and solo inventors too. And I like to connect with well, obviously direct clients, but on the networking side, I'm looking to meet people who work with these small to medium-sized businesses and understand what they might need from an intellectual property standpoint. And I see, I guess, more in this in the field where most of you sit, it would be more on the trademark side. So, and that would consist of making sure that names that are selected, name of the company, logo of the company, isn't going to run afoul of somebody that's already on the market before the company starts investing a lot of resources into that. And also, if you do have a brand and you want to protect it by making sure that other companies don't enter the space and draw customers away through using a similar name or a logo, or hurt your reputation because somebody thinks that they're associated with you and they're doing a bad job making a product or selling a service. Thank you for having me come here as a guest today.
Absolutely. And most of the people on this group know Audrey Glover-Dichter, who does advertising law. Can you explain how you guys do different things and what you do versus what she does?
I've met Audrey a few times, and our services are complementary. I don't think I can give a good explanation of what she does, except I think she works more, I think, in the compliance side of advertising. I think she might handle some trademarks, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think she's mostly in the area of compliance. Yeah.
Yeah, she'll work with your websites to make sure that you're not saying things you shouldn't be saying that will get you into legal trouble and things like that.
Cool. Thank you so much. All right. And I just met Larry through Rajiv. Thank you, Rajiv, for that intro. Ken, then Rajiv, then Stacy.
Hi, good morning. I'm Ken Simon, KBS Marketing. I work with small and mid-sized companies, helping them understand who their customers are, what their needs are, and then developing the strategies for them to use to go after those markets, whether it be demand generation strategies, website updates and development, email campaigns, whatever they're looking for, just to help them understand how to market to those customers and to develop demand for their products and services. I've been, I focus mostly on B2B, but I've also done some B2C, but I work with startups, companies within the financial services sector. Now I'm sort of like branching out. I'm actually working, I'm going to be talking to a company that launches rockets. So that's like, we'll see where that goes. But I get involved with doing marketing strategies and plans as well. So in that case, I'll be helping them develop marketing plans so they can put that in their pitch deck. But then
So that their revenues can really take off. Sorry, I just have to get that.
That is very true. That is very true. Or else it could go crashing down. We'll see. But they're trying to raise $24 million, and so they have a prototype rocket to deliver micro to cube satellites to low Earth orbit. So I don't know anything about it, but it's interesting. I'm also working with some startups who are just trying to get funding. So I'll help them figure out who their customers are and what their markets are. So I'm Ken Simon, and any way you could help, I could help you, let me know.
So there was a guy who came as a guest. He's joining. I don't know if you were on last week, David Levy. He works on the PR side and helps companies, startups raise funds. But it's more focused on PR. Might be somebody to collaborate with.
Okay, yeah. I just met someone this morning, but he raises money through debt offerings. I'm not sure whether, startup.
Well, he's actually, so David Levy is not, he's not a fundraiser. He's a PR guy, PR social media, and that's his focus, content.
Okay.
But all focused with startups trying to sort of either sell, raise money, or go IPO.
Okay, I'll let you know. Once I meet with this company, I'll let you know if I need his introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Rajiv, Stacy, then Jason.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all from sunny New York City. It's sunny at the moment. It may change anytime soon. I don't know. But as of now, it's sunny. So hence my beach background and aspirations to be on the beach. So just like when you're on the beach, you're at peace of mind and everything is nice and sunny and everything. So that's the kind of feeling that clients feel or enjoy after I take their stress away. Stress? What kind of stress? The stress that comes from bad press. I didn't intend to rhyme that, but it just so happens that way. We delete the stress from bad press as well as bad reviews that appear when people Google your name or your company name or somebody connected to you, like your girlfriend, spouse, etc. And we delete, yes, you heard me, delete that junk from Google. The reason why we do this is because all this stuff sows doubt and skepticism and suspicion in the minds of your existing customers and future prospects, and if left unattended, can absolutely kill your business. So that's why we offer this service to help businesses like you continue to do good work, because that's what you're trying to do in the world. And the reason why I do this is so that you can recover your future, salvage your reputation, and continue to do what you love to do. I do want to point out that this service is not intended to let bad actors get away with it. And it's only for people that have been treated unfairly or maligned online by haters. So my ask is to be introduced to sports agents, sports attorneys, entertainment agents, entertainment attorneys. So those are it's basically two sides of the same coin, because those are the people that typically may need my service for their client to get the deal done. Because if the deal doesn't get done, they don't get paid, because typically sports agents gets paid only when the brand or like Nike or whoever does a deal with their celebrity talent. So that's my ask. And for those that I haven't met yet so far, like our guests and new visitors, I'll put my info in the chat. Let's connect on LinkedIn as well as jump on a one-on-one. And I would like to say that I had two great one-on-ones with Rachelle and Stacy. Rachelle was just like leaving me in splits the moment she opened her mouth, like within seconds. Yes, seconds. And I was almost like falling off the chair like always. So yeah, so thanks for that, Rachelle. Laughter is the best medicine. Yes.
Wonderful.
Okay, with that, yeah, I give the stage back to Michael.
Thank you, and thank you for pursuing one-on-ones. That's the best way. This is a forum for people to meet each other, and then figure out, who do I want to meet one-on-one, where you're going to get, the biggest bang for your buck, so to speak, in terms of building those relationships that help you drive your business, and of course, just personal gratification from meeting cool people. All right, so Stacy, Jason, Jeff. Stacy, you are up. Stacy, is she still with us? Are you on mute, Stacy? Yes, you're on mute. Stacy, you're on mute.
Yeah. Hi, sorry. My name is Stacy Mathis, and I own a website called Legal Copywriting Central. And we focus solely on the legal industry. We craft copy, brochures, websites, anything that you use to promote or market your law firm. We also work on the other side with companies that sell to lawyers and law firms. One of, I have to it's like shout out to Rochelle Day, but I really have to give her a shout out, because when she talked about a moment ago about her Ultimate Power Pitch program, I took her up on that last week or 2 weeks ago. And she actually helped me to narrow, to focus my pitch in a way that I hadn't even conceived. Even as a marketer, as a copywriter who does this for other people, I wasn't able to do it for myself in a way that was as effective as she had me do it. And so that client that I told you guys at last meeting who was the #1 tech company in their tech space, that I owe part of that to Rochelle for helping me to describe myself in a way that was more compelling than I otherwise would have. So Rochelle, big up, but double thumbs up to you. Thank you very much. I forgot, who am I? I run a legal copywriting company. We write copy, we write brochures, super lawyers, profiles, bios, and anything that, like I said, lawyers use to market their business. And that's pretty much what we do. We went from general to focusing on the legal niche about the end of 2019, and it's been pretty, pretty successful so far. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Wonderful. And you have a potential customer on the call in Larry. You guys should connect. And Larry, even if you are not interested in using Stacy's services, you could perhaps connect her with other lawyers.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Ken. No, I did Ken. Oh, let's see. Jason, then Jeff. Jason.
Can I ask Stacy a quick question before? Do you work directly with law firms or with other agencies as well?
Law firms, agencies, and companies that sell to lawyers.
All right, let's see if I can connect you to someone.
Thank you.
All right.
Wonderful. Okay, Jason, you're up.
Hi. Okay, so Jason Cement. I run Get Visible. It's a digital agency like many others. We build websites and we promote them with search engine rankings and social media. I wrote a book a bunch of years ago called, not so many years ago, called I Need More Clients. So it's basically we kept hiring people and they would quit. And because we teach them what we know and then they would leave. So I wrote the book down so that I wouldn't forget. And then we use it as sort of a manual of operations. And it was made training easy. We figured out about a couple of months ago what makes us not necessarily different, but who's our target client. We tend to work with a lot of solo entrepreneurs or solo lawyers, people who are leaders in their industry, but they're on their own, where they run a business, but they're at the top and they're commanding the operations. So we figured out if you value your time at $300 an hour or more, then you should be outsourcing all the marketing to us because it isn't worth your time to do it anymore. And so what worked for you at $100 an hour when you were just a junior lawyer, for example, and doing live networking and all these things, it doesn't work when you're doing $400 or $500 an hour anymore. So we become your outsourced marketing arm and doing all the things that we do. So that's it. Simple, much less than 5 minutes. Or 3
Much
minutes.
less than 2.5 minutes, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was a great plug you got from Howard earlier. So can you describe the nature of the work without revealing any information that is proprietary?
Oh yeah, it was nuts. I mean, they needed to, without giving up anything, they needed to integrate HubSpot with calendaring system, with Facebook advertising, with a landing page, multiple landing pages. And because my team is unfortunately so large, we have a lot of disciplines that we cover. And I say large because I have to deal with the overhead of paying them. So whatever it is, I mean, we literally in 3 days, we already had the prototypes running. And then the client just had a cow because of security issues and had no reflection on me or Howard. They just did an about shift and Howard manned up and paid for the time. So Howard's that kind of guy. That's the important part. I don't think I'm sharing this big secret. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was the principle. Like we were in a good place, even though it messed up because it hurt him just with the client. And I have no, my team was cool because we've dealt with this many times with clients going crazy for no reason that has anything to do with us. So I think that's good, right? Yeah.
Sorry to hear, Howard, that the client had a cow.
They had a cow. Can I share something quick? I'm curious because you're a group. We got a termination notice yesterday from a client. He goes, I'm terminating effectively immediately because you haven't done any deliverables. And this was just after sending him a write-up of all the things we were doing with the report showing that the rankings were like through the roof. And I said, I'm just curious if people have dealt with this. I said, give me a reason more than nothing to just get out of the contract. So he's like, I don't have time for this. I'm a lawyer. I'm running a business unless you want a legal response. He finally sends over a copy of the contract. He goes, this is what you didn't do. He recited nothing. Has anybody dealt with this before where the client that just wants to get out of it, but doesn't even realize that's what he's doing? And then we obviously sent them a whole write-up saying, here's all the things that we did. I'm just curious if someone has a good response for that.
I do. Yeah, people get emotional, they get freaked out. All of a sudden they decide they don't want to pay for something. And then they realize that they made a commitment and they don't take other services seriously. I mean, not with no disrespect. I mean, legal, accounting, they think that their services are like the Lord and everything else doesn't count because they get paid by like the second. So they don't realize that they actually sign their name to something and they're accountable to it. So one of the things is what I've done in the past is very similar to what you do. You mentioned that you don't think we didn't deliver something. Here are the following deliverables that we did. And I would really bold it. And then and on the bottom, I would say, number 2, you signed a contract, which is a legal binding document. So with all due respect, the same way that you feel that you respect clients according to your contract, we hold as a company policy, we hold our clients to a contract as well.
And by the way, I want to share, he actually copied the website that he terminated and put it on his own system. After we did everything, it's insane.
And then the last thing is, I would say, if you're open for a quick, if you'd like to discuss this in person, I'm open for the following 2 days where we can review this. And then after that, if we don't hear from you by a certain date, I will assume that we are still in good standing and will continue accordingly. And then if not, and this way they're going to say that, this is a business. You're not there to make a hobby. This is not a hobby. We're not sitting here knitting and crocheting. This is a business. And then I would say, with all due respect, I respect my business the way that I would respect yours. And then you go forward with that. And then, you know what? People get away with anything until you hold them accountable. When you hold them accountable, all of a sudden it's like a dog with their tail between their legs. And then the last thing I would suggest is to give them a way out so that the next time they talk to you, they don't feel that they're being scolded. And then just say, the quality of work, your company, we loved working with your company. We loved working and providing the following results. And we would absolutely look forward to continuing, bringing great efforts and support, whatever, we continue to do great results on behalf of your company. So it sort of gives you an out that you're not going to treat them like dog doodle.
Sounds like you guys might want to connect direct.
Thank you.
We're running low on time.
But if you want to, I think we really have to. We're business owners. We're not here in hobbies, and we got to act like business owners, because they sure do. They couldn't give a damn.
We're running low on time, so I want to give Jeff Schwartz and myself our 2.5 minutes. Jeff, you're up.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I've missed a couple of these and everything, but I'm Jeff Schwartz. I own Ethic Advertising Agency. I'm located in Pittsburgh. We specialize in paid advertising, digital advertising, and creative services. So we just wrapped a project, and I was wondering if I could share my screen and just show it's a 1 minute 10-second video that we did for launching a monument brand, a national brand that we're doing. So a lot of times we do an anchor video, have pieces kind of stem off of it creatively, and then distribute it using hyper-targeted digital solutions like programmatic, social, pay-per-click, those kind of things.
Go for it. You should be able to take it on. I don't hear the audio. There it is.
These days, yeah, my family, my son, raising you has taught me so many valuable life lessons, and our laughs together are something that have never will. But only girl, you are always made everyone feel wanted. My beautiful bride. Have a way of making it go. The best part about my life is seeing those bright blue eyes looking into mine. Above all else, remember this: our love is eternal. Till we meet again.
So that's something recently that we just wrapped that. Was everybody able to hear that?
The sound was a bit choppy, but we got the picture. I don't know why the sound was choppy.
Okay, I'll put a link to the YouTube in the description and everything. But essentially, what we do is like what our ideal situation is. We'll create content like this for paid advertising to be distributed, as well as matching with the brand as well too, to bring in a really holistic experience, but also kind of like using very hyper targeted digital capabilities to get these messages in front of people to get them into the funnels.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, I have about 2 minutes myself, and then I've got to jump. As you know, my name is Michael Bendit. My company is Software Development Resources. I sort of have an unusual position because I don't do any programming myself. I don't have anybody on my staff. I am a sole practitioner, but I represent a wealth of capabilities and a wealth of skills in the technical world. So what I do is I have about 10 teams that I represent that are really very technically focused. They've got their boutique agencies that are very technically savvy and very technically focused. And so we do two types of development. We tend to do work with marketing agencies and marketing applications, so websites and mobile applications and e-commerce sites. And then we build the first products or subsequent products for startups. So somebody who has a great idea and they're not really sure where to go, people refer them to me because I have a breadth of teams that I can match to the particular need. And part of that need is budget, part of it is technology, part of it is how comfortable the client is working with a domestic team, an offshore team, or a dual shore team. And in fact, most of my work is with my dual shore teams, which provide that benefit of the cost savings because they've got the resources offshore, but they also avoid the issues that come up with dealing with cultural differences, language differences, time zone differences. So best leads for me are really small agencies, digital agencies that don't have the resources in-house, or maybe run out of resources in-house to do the development work to build those websites and e-commerce sites. I look forward to seeing you again next week. It will be next Wednesday afternoon at 5 p.m. Thank you again, Howard, for stepping in last minute. That was a really interesting presentation. And thank you all for being part of the Trusted Referral Network. I got to sign off because I'm a minute late to my next meeting.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you.
Al.
Bye-bye.